So 24 Counter, the story behind the run, is basically a documony. And I think me and my wife invented that word, a documony, but it's a documentary of my testimony. And it's a story that a lot of people just don't know. They know that I'm known for making this big run back in 2000 against the University of Kentucky in one of the biggest games of the year. But what they don't know is the story behind that run. And so the title is based on the name of the play that I executed to win the game. And the play was called 24 Counter. But everything from me being born, leading all the way up to that moment when I made that run, is an incredible testimony. And that's what 24 Counter is all about. The thing that I'm most proud of about this documentary is the courage to tell the story, the patience to wait to tell the story the way I felt God wanted me to tell it. A story I've been wanting to tell for a long time, but I needed to tell it the way the Lord wanted me to tell it. Because this story has been, 20 years in the making, and when some of the things that happened to me, I felt more like a victim than someone that the Lord was trying to teach a lesson. And the more I prayed and waited, the more I was able to see what God was doing. And so now, as I tell the story, the focus isn't on anybody but Jesus and what Jesus did in my life and how he did it, to where the focus won't be on football. It won't be on me. It won't be on no coaches. It won't be on Louisville. It won't be on UK. It'll be about Jesus Christ. The reason I dedicated this documentary to my mother is because she had a lot to do with everything that happened within the story. And I'm glad she got a chance to screen the documentary before she passed back on April 15th. And I know it made her proud. And so I'm dedicating it to her, because the road that I was on that eventually led to me making a head-on collision with Jesus and changing my entire life, she put me on that road from a very early age, made sure I went to church, made any adjustments that she needed to make in her life so that I could succeed, survive. She was my biggest cheerleader. And so I know that me being able to tell this story in the way that I get a chance to tell it is something that she's extremely proud of. The book that I wrote, Playing on God's Team, the devotional, is basically where 24 Counter comes from. It's me taking that book, the stories that I told in the book, and just bringing them out for you to see through pictures, through videos, through documentation, so that you can see that I actually went through everything that I'm basically coaching the reader to go through, all the Bible study stuff, all of the application, all the biblical application, everything that's in there. I wanted you to be able to see that I actually went through all of this myself in my real life, so that I'm not just a guy writing a book and talking about it. I lived it. So my life is living proof. And to be able to see the documentary and see exactly how I went through it, it just brings more power and validity and inspiration to the book, Playing on God's Team. So to see those two come together at this point makes for one powerful testimony, one powerful biblical Bible study and devotional tool that I'm really happy to share, with the world. When a person watches 24 Counter, I like to think of it as you sitting down with me, we're having a cup of coffee, and you ask me, so tell me about yourself. Tell me how you came to know the Lord. And as I'm telling you this story, can you imagine, as we're drinking coffee, everything I say is like an illustration of what I'm talking about is popping over my head, like where you could see it. Like when I start talking about, this person or that person and an interaction that we had, like a video screen pops up and you can literally see that interaction play out, an illustration as the story is being told. That's kind of what it's like to watch 24 Counter. If you've ever been to hear somebody speak, or maybe been at a church and they start to tell their testimony, they're on stage or wherever telling their testimony. Just imagine that everything they're talking about is being acted out, being displayed so that you can see it. You don't just got to hear about it, you can actually see it happen in real time. That's what it's like to watch, 24 Counter. I've taken everything from the experience that I had, and organically this stuff has been documented, over the last 20 years. And I have it, and I'm going to share it with the world, and I hope that everyone who sees it is inspired because they actually get a chance to see that everything I talk about is true, everything I talk about happened, and these biblical principles that I talk about in the book Playing on God's Team, I actually had to do it myself in my real life. And you can see how it played out, how God used everything, and where I am now as a result. I just began to shape my goals at that point because I didn't like how tough it was on me. I didn't like how tough it was on my mother, and I started to make the goal that I wanted to take care of her one day by playing football. I knew nobody in my family would be able to afford to send me to college, and if I don't play well, Stallings still on his feet, my dream is done. I knew that I was kind of going to be on my own. Like, this is going to be the challenge of a lifetime. Obeying scripture and just living it out, and if you face opposition because of that, that's what being a true Christian is all about. And I was straight up about to face it. I just got here already. My ultimate goal is being threatened. I hate this, and I was just really upset because it wasn't easy anymore to be a Christ follower. And now I'm feeling guilty and ashamed, not necessarily living the way that I was supposed to live. I had a choice to make.
Give to Stallings. Stallings in the middle. Stallings at the 10.
If you deny me before men, I'll deny you before the Father. But if you honor me before men, I'll honor you before the Father.